I don't get scared of storms, and this one here had me moving pretty good.
We got a text on our phone said there was going to be a big storm coming through.
Now on the news at 7, team coverage after the storm, the power outages, and now the extreme heat.
And on top of the storm damage, it's hot.
Yes, very hot. It's extremely hot out here today.
The ABC 21 First Alert Weather Team guiding you through the storm.
I'm particularly concerned again about the wind.
And now making sure you're aware of these dangerously high temperatures. Our team of reporters in the field talking with people impacted across 21 country.
It was extremely loud. It made noises that I've never heard before. You hear it. Everybody says it, but it's true.
And now the cleanup. Power crews are working through the heat, trying to get the lights and the air conditioning back on for thousands of people who lost power during the storm. Good evening to you. Welcome, everyone, to the News at 7. I'm Brian McElhatton. Let's get right to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Matt Leach. Matt, you've got a lot to talk about over there.
Yes, we are going to talk more about kind of recapping what happened last night in a little bit. I want to talk about our next First Alert Weather Day, which is tomorrow, as it so happens, due to...
Well, Brian, we're going to begin here tonight. We're in the backyard of the Hughes house in Waynedale. The worst damage I've seen so far from this storm. Take a look at this tree. It was uprooted. Look at the hole and how deep it is that was left behind. This was actually one of 4 trees that was taken out by this storm. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Hughes were inside when it happened.
It's sad. Like I said, I'm just glad no one was hurt.
Walk through Corey Hughes's yard and the view keeps getting worse. This is the front of the house, but let me take you around back and you'll realize why. It's a miracle he and his wife weren't hurt.
They said to take shelter, and which we did, but we had 4 full trees came down and took out the whole back of the house. May survive.
That tree that you see sitting right on top of the house, it landed right above the bedroom and bathroom where the couple was hunkered down.
So what is it like to look at this now?
Oh, it's devastating. We're just very thankful that we're safe, and we're happy that neighbors around here are safe too.
That's the thing about Waynedale. As soon as the storm passed, neighbors stepped in to help. When the welcome sign at the Hughes house was suddenly upstaged by one that says condemned, they knew they'd have to find someone to lean on.
Staying at a friend's place right now, so family, a lot of friends and family support, so huge, been very huge.
Lots of work in the meantime. They do have insurance, so they'll be okay in the long run. But this is hard, considering the couple has lived here for decades. They'll certainly remember the storm of 2022, the strongest derecho to hit Fort Wayne in 10 years, with one wind gust of 98 miles per hour. The Hughes home near Sand Point and Morel, right in the path of that storm.
Yeah, I'm glad Fort Wayne's safe, and hopefully there's, like I said, glad there are no casualties in Fort Wayne that I know of, and hope everybody gets back to where they need to be.
Well, we hope you get back on your feet, too.
Yeah, thank you.
That right up there, that was a studio that they used for storage. Thank goodness they weren't up there. Thank goodness they're okay.
We've learned a woman was killed during Monday's derecho. Her name was Janet Howell. She was inside her home on Mason Drive. That's in Waynedale. Her bedroom window shattered. Glass hit her, causing severe injuries. She was rushed to the hospital, but there was nothing the doctors could do. ABC 21's Tom Powell spoke with the victim's daughter. He joins us live in Waynedale tonight with more on that. Tom?
Yeah, Brian, this is an awful story to share with you right now. In this neighborhood, everywhere you drive, everywhere you look, you see damage, like this giant tree. It was uprooted in this front lawn of this home on Sandpoint. Like I said, everywhere you drive, you're dodging tree limbs and power crews who are working really hard right now to try to get that power back on for this neighborhood. Losing a tree is one thing. Having damage to your house, that's another. But loss of life is something else entirely, and that's what happened across the street over on Mason.
60 years, I don't know quite what I'm going to do without her, but I know that I will go on, and she'd want me to.
In her kitchen, without power, Beth Howell is now planning her mother's memorial service.
And that bond, mother-daughter, is just, it's special.
89-year-old Janet Howell was a preacher's wife.
They had met at church camp back in the 50s and loved to sing in the choir.
And to the very last moment, Beth says her mom was a woman of strong faith.
Beautiful inside and out.
And that's how she'll always remember her, because the memories from Monday night's storm are painful.
I got her ready for bed and put lotion on her back like we did every night, and gave her a hug like we always do.
Then, just before 11, Janet's bedroom window shattered.
That's the one that flew in.
She was hit by glass and was badly injured. Beth called 911 and says the first responders told her they had to make their way around downed trees and power lines as they rushed to try to get to their home here on Mason, right off of Sandpoint.
The rain, and it was just beating in, the rain, and it was so cold. She was so cold.
Janet was rushed to the hospital, where she later died. We now know Fort Wayne was hit by the worst derecho since 2012. The wind, with a gust as high as 98 miles per hour, did so much damage.
It is here, Gabe. Thank you very much.
Now at 7, the deadly derecho. 4 days later, we're taking a look at the storm by the numbers. Plus,
there's a lot of damage here, and everyone's trying to clean up.
We're on the water, giving you a tour of the extensive damage at one of the many lake communities hit by the derecho. And we're talking with the hard-working crews working to restore power across 21 country.
Yeah, I've already been at Columbia City for maybe almost 3 years, and some of the veteran guys say this is the worst they've seen in 20-some years, or most widespread damage on our system.
Our team coverage of the deadly derecho continues now. Tom Powell is here to assess where we stand with the breakdown of the damage and the efforts underway now to get it cleaned up.
For so many people, downright miserable if you've been without power. I want to take a look at the damage by the numbers. First, focusing solely on Indiana, Michigan Power. They tell us here in Indiana, 29,600 customers lost power. The vast majority of those customers from the Fort Wayne area, 28,900. Now, with an outage this big, it takes a lot of people to get things back up and running. I'm told 1,200 workers are putting in 16-hour days. Many of those workers are from out of town, places like Oklahoma and Pennsylvania. They're here to help. As far as I&M system across southwest Michigan and here in Indiana, they had 275 damaged poles and 40 damaged transformers. Now, this is a look at a big system like Indiana, Michigan Power. I want to focus on something smaller now, the Columbia City area. ABC 21's Krista Miller takes us for a boat ride to take a look at the damage there.
My friend April invited me over to Crooked Lake in Columbia City. She and neighbors have been without power since Monday night when the storm rolled through. There's a lot of damage here, and everyone's trying to clean up in this extreme heat. April and Chris Gross have spent a lot of time on their boats since Monday, trying to catch a cool breeze as utility crews work to get the power back.
We were actually sitting out on our front porch initially watching the storm come in, the lightning show.
They took these videos on their phones that night, never expecting it to be this bad.
And then the wind just picked up, and then the alert came on our phones, thank goodness. And that's when we're like, okay, this is serious.
They ran inside right before the wind and tree limbs shattered several of their windows.
I was standing right here at the stairway. I was coming up the stairs to check all of our windows, and that's when the tree limb came through and busted. And then we had glass go it went back as far as the door. It was everywhere.
Take a look. This is all of the glass that they've collected so far from this big window that busted out, another one in their top floor bedroom. There's still glass here. They finally just said, we can't do it anymore. You know, they picked up the big pieces, and now they're just trying to clean up everything else.
And it was that quick. It was really quick.
On Tuesday, in the daylight, they saw the full picture. Several windows busted, their power knocked out, and tree limbs and furniture thrown.
But all of these limbs went through our windows. I mean, that's what knocked out our windows, and those were all up in our yard.
But April and Chris are grateful their damage wasn't any worse. We also haven't heard of any injuries in the area. Incredible when you take in the damage everywhere you look as you drive around the lake.
That was the first thing you saw after the storm was over Monday night, is everybody was coming out of the front of their homes and starting to check around, see if neighbors were all right.
There are so many stories to tell across 21 country after this storm. You know, this woman who lives in the greenhouse back here, she was reading in bed when a limb came through the wall and just missed her. She was uninjured. No one else was injured here on Crooked Lake. That's some good news now as the cleanup continues.
All right, so Brian, right after Krista filed that report, that was yesterday, she was there, the grosses got their power back.
Very good.
So that was good news. We heard a neighbor yell out, "We got it, it's on," and everyone kind of cheered. So
yeah.
when you are without power, it feels really
matters.
good to get
it
back.
does.
Yeah. Also, another update. I&M just put out an updated release on its numbers that I went over at the beginning. They say all told, they fixed 350 broken poles and 65 damaged transformers. They're down to just 350 customers without power. One of those customers is our news director, who walked by and sarcastically said, "Oh boy, I'm part of that."
Oh man,
low
poor
percentage of people.
I know. Well, we hope he gets his power back on
I
soon.
know. And everyone at home too. If you know someone that's without it, it is miserable right now, and it can be dangerous too. So
absolutely, it can be. Hey, we do want to make sure you're as up to date as possible, especially with the extreme heat returning next week, which we will cover for you. Our team is declaring Tuesday a First Alert Weather Day. So you can download the First Alert Weather app now for free. Scan the QR code on your screen. It's for Google Play. It's also for Apple devices too, and you can get the weather alerts and the updates even if your power is out at home, as long as your phone is charged.